What can possibly be said about the Fallout franchise that hasn't been said already? It's been like universally applauded, critical acclaim. The franchise is dope. I mean, it's got everything that you would want in a video game or any medium of entertainment at that. Post-apocalyptic universe, action, witty dialogue. We can go on forever. Now, like, I have played the original Fallouts or the earlier Fallouts, which would be like Fallout 1, Fallout 2. But I started at Fallout 3, probably like most people. And when I say most people, I would say like I'm assuming because Bethesda was or is a bigger uh, developer slash publisher or whatever than Interplay was. I'm assuming that they reached more audiences or a wider audience than what Interplay could have done. Um, so yeah, I started off with three and I loved it. I mean, it's I, I've been playing video games since the Atari age. I'm in my late 30s. So, man, you name it. Like I remember playing Super Pitfall, super memorable games like that. Mario, of course, Super Mario Brothers, the most iconic video game character of all time. So what I'm trying to say is that I've been playing video games for a really long time, and when someone today asks me, "Hey, Dan, what's your favorite video game of all time?" I always think of Fallout 3 and The Elder Scrolls Oblivion, which some would argue it's the same game, because it's practically the same engine, just, one has a gun and then one has magic, I guess. Um, Still, they're the greatest games I've ever played, and I've played lots of games. Um, it's wild because it seems to me like the general consensus of when it comes to the Fallout franchise is that a lot of people were bitter at the direction that Bethesda took it. Like they say that Fallout 1 and Fallout 2 was completely different from, you know, Fallout 3 first person view, a lot of inconsistencies. Like from what I read online, supposedly, how did wood survive a nuclear blast, and how can food still be edible 200 years after its expiration date? I mean, like, look, man, it does sound a little nitpicky. I'm not gonna lie, but there is some truth to that too. I can't really pick a side there. At the end of the day, I guess I will pick a side, and that side would be it's a fucking video game. That's the side I'm gonna pick. So it's like you kind of gotta suspend belief a little bit. Um, so yeah, okay, fine. Those are I guess complaints. I'm not gonna say legit, but they are complaints. And all right, I played, I dabbled in Fallout 1 and Fallout 2, and I thought they were pretty cool games, but I believe the first one came out in 1997. And, playing now the last time I played was probably 2016. Sorry, the first time I've played it was like 2016, which means I'm really late for the party. But these games were before my time. Like I wasn't I didn't have a PC, at least a gaming PC. I had like a hand-me-down PC with like DOS and barely could run a calculator program. But I didn't have an actual gaming PC, so I was mostly console. I was Atari, I was Nintendo, Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, Sega Saturn. Yes, I had one of those. Um, so uh, it sucks because I can think of a few games in my lifetime that I can say if when I was younger I played, and if I tell someone, "Hey man, this is one of the best games I've played. Play this." Though, but keep in mind it's like 20 years old. They're going to be like, "Ah, I don't know about that." Like it's pretty old. We're all spoiled with the current video game mechanics, the modern video game mechanics, like, autosave. That sounds funny. It sounds like I'm being sarcastic, but it's that's fucking revolutionary. I hear supposedly it started with Red Dead Redemption. I don't know if that's true. Um but think about it. Red Dead Redemption came out like not so long ago. Probably, I think in the late 2010 or something like that. I don't know. But anyways, um, yeah. So you know, it it kind of not upsets me, but it kind of like makes me feel like, wow, how awesome of a game Fallout One and how awesome of games were Fallout One and Fallout Two. If I think Fallout Three was awesome, was even better than Fallout One and Fallout Two, but what the hell am I saying? What I'm saying is, to me, Fallout 3 was the best game I ever played in my life. But yet, other people disagree and say Fallout 1 and Fallout 2 are the best games in the world. So I'm like, how good were Fallout 1 and Fallout 2 that they overshadow Fallout 3? That's what I meant to say. Um, I think that just running around in the atmosphere, just picking up Fallout 3 and then just blindly i- ignoring the quest lines and just running around in the wasteland. That right there was like a game changer for me. Like I remember just being lost in the music. It's like this. Uh, well, it's this soundtrack that like I believe just recently. I don't even know his name, man. That sucks. But the guy who's in charge of the audio, like he just won an award not so long ago, and I believe it was for Fallout 76, which I can sense the uh the room go quiet when I said Fallout 76. Like, that's a very extremely controversial game, and that's me putting it lightly. Um, So, yeah, just running around and just hearing that it's like iconic to me now. Like I can hear it's when you're playing Fallout 3, it's never really into unless you're like listening to like Galaxy News Radio when it's like all in your ear and they're playing like, different types of songs. I'm talking about um just the background music, the score. Like it never gets in the way. It's not obstructive. It's just like melodic and it's just in the background, just kind of echoes. And that right there just puts me like in a trance, man. I just want to just explore every corner of this wasteland. And when I first played it, I believe it was maybe a year or two after it came out. Uh, and I think it came out like 14 years ago. I think it came out like 2008, I believe. So I played it maybe 2009 or so. And I remember, first of all, not only loving it just by playing it for the first couple of minutes or whatever, just maybe the first 15, 20 minutes, I was like, oh, this is something special. It's wild, right? Sometimes just because something is attached to our childhood, we automatically love it in present time, right? Like, how many times have we said to someone currently, like, "Yo, this is fire," or "This movie, this song, this go and listen to it, go and watch it," and then they go watch it and they come back like, "Yo, that was bad," or that was like outdated, or and then you kind of you'll go back and you watch it or listen to it or whatever, and then you go, "Yeah, you know what? That didn't hold up well. In my mind, it seemed a lot better than what I thought it was." Um, which goes back to my point. It's like how much of that plays, how much of a role does nostalgia play in people currently liking Fallout 1 and Fallout 2? And even I think Tactics, if I'm not mistaken, also came out before Fallout 3. I'm sorry, I'm not too crazy familiar with the timeline of anything before Fallout 3. But how much does nostalgia play in that? Um, I didn't play the games through, so I can't even properly comment on how great or not the first games in the series were. But I can tell you that I've been a victim to that with certain games. Like I remember loving games as a kid, for like Nintendo, for example. And I got a small collection of Nintendo games. It's nothing major. It's like 50 games, and I have the original 1985 North American Nintendo. Um, and some of these games, I'm like, most of them I bought out of nostalgia. I was like, hey man, look at fucking. Does anybody remember Phantom Fighter for Nintendo? That's like one of the best games I played as a kid, and you know what? It's still not a bad game. It's a little difficult. The mechanics are like y- it's weird. I don't know. You have to have proper placement to do kicks and anyways, I feel like that's a sleeper of a title. And anyways, that's one of those games that I looked back at and I was like, okay, maybe I liked this game a little too much as a kid and not so much as an adult. Also change. Lots of people they don't like change. I think that's a general human trait, right? So Fallout 3 was such a radical departure from the first earlier titles, that lots of people were like, the fuck is this? What is this? This isn't Fallout. So a lot of people can't differentiate the fact that, Fallout, maybe it was a good game, maybe Fallout 3 was a good game, but it wasn't a good Fallout game. And that reminds me of like certain Resident Evil titles. Like for example, Resident Evil 5. Resident Evil 5 is a dope ass game. It's a great action game, but it is not a good Resident Evil game. When you think of Resident Evil, you think of this methodical, slow-paced horror, like jump scares and the doors open up slowly, intentionally and shit. And, zombies could be creeping in the hallway and shit could burst out of windows like those damn dogs in part one that I'm still traumatized about. That's what Resident Evil embodies. So for it to have such a crazy departure from, its traditional thing, its traditional um gameplay and features to make five. I was just like I remember playing I played that game several times over and I'm not the type of person to constantly replay a game. I'm more of a I beat it once or twice and then that's it. I don't touch it for years. But I remember playing that game with friends over and over and over again because it was just such a fun action game, just running around shooting zombies in the face and stuff. But it wasn't a great Resident Evil game. So I wonder if that's what people generally think of Fallout 3 compared to its earlier games. Is it because it's can someone who doesn't like Fallout 3 say that they love The Elder Scrolls Oblivion? Because, like I said earlier, it's kind of like the same game. So, if they did they like The Elder Scrolls Oblivion because it wasn't Fallout or anything related to Fallout? It was like its own thing. So, I don't know if I'm confusing you because I'm confusing the shit out of myself. And what I'm saying is, like, if Fallout 3 was not named Fallout, it was something else, some generic ass title, Nuclear Man, or something crazy like that. Would it have gotten as big as a critical reception as it got because it has the Fallout name tied to it? If it was something completely else, it was rebranded something else, would it have been as successful? So these are things that I think about, like change. People just don't like change. So Fallout went a whole different direction. And then let's look at the other side of things, right? What if Fallout continued in that same direction? Like Fallout 3, let's say Bethesda acquired the rights from Interplay and said, you know what, we're gonna keep the next Fallout 3 game we're gonna make it a lot similar to Fallout 1, Fallout 2, Fallout Tactics or whatever. We're just gonna revamp the graphics a little bit, but we're still gonna keep it like turn based, and it's gonna be isometric. And like I don't know if it would have been as successful. I don't know. I feel like maybe I'm completely out of touch, man. I am getting older, but I just don't feel like isometric games are as popular as first person shooters, or games that are of high graphical fidelity, because that seems to be what the kids are gravitating toward. That's how you know you're old, right? When you start calling people kids and you're still pretty young. But like, that's what kids are more gravitating towards too. They want the 4K monitors, and they 1440p monitors or whatever. And I'm still playing on 1080p, man, because I'm just like, that does the trick. Also, I don't want to stress out my graphics card, but that's a whole nother subject. I am saying that I feel like, from the original players of the Fallout franchises, the earlier players before Bethesda bought the rights, I feel like they're very vocal and they're very loud, and a lot of what they are saying is valid. But I also think that a lot of it has to do with the fact that they refuse to accept change, and they also, don't like the fact that Interplay is no longer behind it, or the original developers. I think it was Tim Kaine, if I'm not mistaken, was one of the original developers. I don't know. I should probably be looking shit up a little more before I talk about it, right? That's probably a good tip. Um, the oh yeah, the I heard that supposedly it was very messy, from what I read online at least. I heard it was really messy, the acquisition of Fallout from Interplay to Bethesda. There was a lot of legal battles involved, which I didn't know about until like earlier. Maybe like 20, 25 minutes ago. I was just reading up on it a little bit, and I was like, "Damn, that's pretty messy, man." Like, Bethesda hired lawyers, then fired lawyers, and they bought the rights from um, Interplay, but Interplay was working on an online game called Fallout Online, and they said that they were going to release that, and then Bethesda said you can't do that. And it's pretty, you go out there and read it yourself, man. It's pretty interesting, but it's also, like, wow, it's messy, man. I didn't think that it could. I thought it was a smooth transition. It's like, hey, man, we're Interplay, we're going bankrupt, we need money, hey, Bethesda, you want to buy us? Sure. And then that's it, end of story. But that's not the case. As of the future of Fallout, like, Fallout 76, that's well, of course, we can't skip Fallout 4. Fallout 4, man, like, I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was like game changing and magnificent and memorable and legendary like Fallout 3 was. Am I a fanboy? Do I sound like one? Fallout 4 was all right. It wasn't a bad game, I don't think, by any means, but it was just it had big shoes to fill, and I don't think it quite did the job. I mean, it was like a good attempt. It was like you scoring originally like a 95 on a test, and then you decided to retake it for some weird reason, and then you scored like a 75. It's like, hey man, you did all right, but you didn't do as good as the first time. That's kind of how I compare Fallout 3 and Fallout 4. It's not a bad game. Fallout 4 isn't a bad game by any means or any stretch of the imagination, but it just doesn't hold a candle to 3. Also, the fucking the audible dialogues that your character speaking, and oh man, that ruined it so much for me, man. I was speaking to a coworker a couple of days ago. He was telling me that's one of the things he loved the most about Fallout 4, that the character actually had a voice and he can say things. And I was like, no, no, keep that motherfucker mute. I love picking stuff you know from a list on the bottom of your screen. That to me, that just lends more to the imagination, right? Because you get to sit there and you look at the options. You can visibly see which line you want to pick, and you can kind of reflect before you pick it. Like, oh, what would happen if I say this? He probably would want to shoot me afterwards, and then I'll have to, kill him and everyone in the room just for good measure, and then just reload it, and then maybe do it again. Maybe that's just me. But Fallout 4, they had that talking, the talking. I was like, nah, man, get that talking out of here. Get that shit out of here. Um, then the gameplay was pretty cool. The graphics were more revamped. It looked good, but you can tell it was kind of like the same engine also, and maybe that engine was kind of starting to run on its last legs. You know, Yeah, I also was speaking to another coworker. This one was a different one, and he was telling me like he was looking at some videos of Starfield, which is like the current game that's coming out, I believe, from Bethesda. And he's like, "Bro, they're still using the same engine, man." And I'm like, "No." And he's probably right. I don't know why I just straight up lied to him. Maybe I'm in denial, man. I'm such a fucking Bethesda fanboy. I mean, like, yeah, listen, man. I can't sit here and say like, "Hey, they're not perfect," because you can say that about anybody and about anything, right? Oh, they're not perfect. They're not perfect. I like this. This is my favorite ice cream flavor, but it's not perfect. Look at the sun. The sun is beautiful and everything's majestic, but it's not perfect. It could be hotter. You can say that about anything. Bethesda, yes, it's not perfect. Yes, yes, they've blundered like anybody. Any great developer or publisher, or even outside of the realm of entertainment, family members, how many family members you had that were doing great for a while and then fell from grace, or whatever the situation is. You can't, if you have a long illustrious career, you're gonna have a few blunders between the span of your career. That's just the way things work. And I feel like now more than ever in this era, people punish, they love to punish mistakes. They love to really rub it in the face when someone fucks up, whoever that may be. And I'm like, man, where's the humanity? Man, I don't know. It just seems like people are just being outraged about things for sport. It doesn't even seem like it's genuine anymore, Like everyone's always, a video comes out that, is kind of controversial, and the first thing people do is rush to the comments to see the funniest one. And I ain't even gonna lie, I did that shit a few times myself. And sometimes it paid off because it was some really funny stuff. But most of the time it's just ruthless, distasteful shit, disrespectful. Like, it's stuff that this person 90%, I'm 90% positive this person would never say this to this other person in real life. It's just, hey man, how much can I get away with? How much can I get away with online? How much of an extreme am I willing to go to make strangers laugh? It's kind of sad in a weird way. So Fallout 4 did good. It was a valiant effort, but I just don't think it did anything close to what 3 did. 76. All right, listen. I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to say this plain and simple, right? I am not going to mince my words. I liked Fallout 76, and I dumped a whole bunch of hours into it. Was it a hot pile of steaming ass when it came out? You can say yes. You can say it. And the only reason I would say yes, and I'm usually a lot more lenient, man, I'm only saying it was terrible. It was not good because it wasn't even doing the most basic of things. It wasn't even functioning. Like I would play the game for like 15, 20 minutes and it would crash. And that was consistent. And I was like, what the hell is going on? This isn't even it can't even do the most basic of things. It can't even work. Like when I buy a game, I don't know about you, I want it to work. Like before anything, I'm like, man, this game, it'll be nice if it worked. And that wasn't happening with 76. So I let it bake. I bought it full price, which was I'm lying, I did not. I saw it for full price, but at this time in my life, around the time 76 first came out, I wasn't playing multiplayer like that. I never really was a multiplayer guy. I'm getting older, and I grew up on single player games, so I kind of just stuck with that theme throughout my entire life. I played long epic RPGs, Witchers, and Dragon Ages, and those type of games, and of course the Elder Scrolls games, and the Fallout games. Those games are just like these giant games that take forever, and they're single player games. So when Fallout 76 came out, or was coming out, people were hyped, but I was like, it's an online game, and I'm not too crazy about online. I think I might just sit this one out. So when I did, I sat this one out for a few months after its release, and I saw all of the controversy that was happening, and I was like, oh shit, this is not looking good for them. I ended up buying it on sale for like 40 bucks. And this was like, man, just a few weeks after it dropped, so it wasn't doing well. So anyways, after waiting, I bought the game, I tried it again, and once again it crashed. I was like, okay, it's still not working. So I forgot about the game for several months. you know. And then when I finally jumped in, I think it was right before the Wastelanders update, you know, and I was enjoying it, man. I was like, wow, this game's actually pretty fun. I think the soul of Fallout, it's in there somewhere. But of course, the fact that like I didn't have NPCs, and I'm not just regurgitating popular opinions here. These are also what I genuinely think. I definitely thought like I had a love hate relationship with the fact that there wasn't NPCs in the universe, right? And on one end, I played it and I was like, I loved the fact of feeling lonely. I love the fact of reading just not only missions but also, you know, what happened in the current area you're exploring through like an old computer. Like somebody wrote a journal on an old computer and then you just happen to jump on it and then you're reading what happened and then you're like, oh, you know, this person's dead or this person's missing, and then you go upstairs and you see a skeletal remains of the previous owners and you're like, oh, you piece things together. Like that was that was the charm. That was the I think like Fallout's bread and butter, the atmosphere building. And Fallout 3, that's one of the things that I love the most. That happened a lot. You know, you're reading stuff and you're trying to find out this specific NPC story. You're like tracking their journey. And then you realize that their journey ended at the place that you're currently visiting. And then you find the body of that person. That shit was like it always hit me. Like I always kind of just stand back for a couple seconds, go like, whoa. So, anyways, Fallout 76 has some of that, like where you're just exploring and you're kind of just like, all right, you know, it has shades and traces of Fallout 3, which I liked. And then on the other end, it kind of sucked not having fleshy enemies to kill. Call me crazy, but I love killing fleshy enemies. I like robots and super mutants. Sure, okay, yeah, but I like killing guys and girls. I hope if you take that out of context, I'm gonna sound so crazy. I like killing guys and girls, but like I like shooting them and like vats and stuff like that, and you can see their heads explode and their arms, you know, fucking dismember and all that. All that is cool. And you know the fact that there wasn't no live NPCs aside the fact from other players, you know, it didn't feel right, you know. That's one thing. So I was in the middle. I was like, I understand the direction that they wanted it originally to go, which was like the other players are the NPCs. They're the ones that populate the world. So therefore, you know, we don't really need to actually program NPCs. Other players will fill in that role. And I'm like, I don't think that's enough. You know, I remember thinking that even back then. Like, I don't think that's enough. But overall, I here's the hot take, right? I think Fallout 76 is better than Fallout 4. I know. I know. I can hear people assembling outside of my door as we speak. I think I just saw a gunshot. No. But seriously though, like I spent more time playing Fallout 76 than I have played Fallout 4. And it's not only because you know, Fallout 76 is it an MMO? I don't even know. They don't even like acknowledge that. They say it's an MMO light, whatever that means. MMO light or MMO heavy, they're both MMOs. Don't matter to me. So it's not just the fact that Fallout 76 was an MMO that I happened to be playing, spend more hours on it. It was also because I just found the game more interesting, and I also was playing with my girlfriend at the time too. So you know that kind of urged me to play a little more because she ended up liking it. I don't know, man. Call me crazy. Maybe this is just a personal a belief. I don't know if it's statistically correct or anything like that, but it seems like more girls, like more women, are interested in Fallout 76 than possibly, I don't know, maybe any other Fallout title in the series. I don't know. I feel like there's more Fallout 76 women and women playing Fallout 76, and I was like, that's pretty dope. That's pretty cool because I've met lots of women online. Me and my girlfriend, like, we ended up playing with lots of just random, you know, randos just doing events and stuff like that. A lot of them were women, and I was just like, that's pretty cool, man. I don't know. That's just a note to take away. You do what you want with that information. I don't even know. I don't even know why I bestowed that upon you, but I ended up liking 76 a lot more than Fallout 4. And that's not to take anything away from Fallout 4, because Fallout 4 was a good game, but I don't know, 76 was just, you can, it's like infinite replayability essentially. You can just keep doing the same events. If that entertains you, I can see how someone would just go, I am not doing this shit for the 50th time. I get it, dude. I get it. There's no wrong answers here, man. There's none. So, I mean, I guess that's that when it comes to the Fallout series. I'm supposedly Fallout 5 is will be in production after the Elder Scrolls 6, so there's insert joke here basically. You can go online and find all sorts of really funny and mostly fucked up jokes about that. Way better than what I can tell you, at least. But yeah, Fallout 5 is safe to say that we're not going to hear anything about that shit no time soon. But we are going to hear a bunch of Fallout 6 updates. uh it's very easy also, speaking of not sorry, not Fallout 6, Fallout 76 updates. That's what I meant to say. Those are just coming out all the time, which kudos to Bethesda and all that for constantly just trying to improve Fallout 76. Although lots of people do feel like the damage is done, and okay, fine, but I do feel like a lot of that has to do with hype. A lot of people just, if the internet in general seems to dislike something, then most people are going to dislike it, even if they've never saw it or even gave it a chance. Anything that's big and popular seems to fall in that same category, right? It could be podcasts, it could be movies. If most people didn't like it, then that's it. That your reputation is fucked, because you're gonna have a whole plethora of people who are not even gonna give it a chance, going like, I hate it, or I heard it's corny, I'm not gonna watch it. And I'm like, you should never do that. You should always experience something for yourself before you make a solid opinion on it. That's just what I believe. But I definitely believe, if my opinion means anything compared to the other billions of people out there, I think you should give Fallout 76 a chance. Like a real chance. Don't play that shit for like 10 minutes and go like, I hate it. Let me write a 30-page review on it on Steam. I mean, like genuinely few hours, couple of hours. I don't know, man. I don't know. Give it 6 hours, I guess. Just genuinely try to enjoy it. Genuinely try to get into it. Put your headphones on if you want. Listen to that music. Mind you, the same composer, I believe, from Fallout 3 and Vegas and so on. I believe he's the same one who made the score for Fallout 76, which is great, because the score is awesome. So at least if you put on some headphones, you'll be treated to great audio. That's undeniable. I say give it a chance. See where that goes. I think you might like it more than what you think. So that about wraps it up. I feel like I've trailed off as usual. That's gonna happen a lot if you listen to these, which that'd be cool if anyone did. But I'm gonna go left, right, up, down, man. I'm gonna talk about everything. I'm gonna circle around. I'm gonna, you know, bear with me here. Thanks for listening.